You're listening to Bigfoot Society, and I'm Jeremiah Byron. In this show, we go beyond the campfire stories to bring you firsthand encounters from people who say they've seen something impossible, from backwoods trails and remote mountain haulers to quiet farms and crowded highways. The stories come from everywhere, and each one leaves us with more questions than answers. These are the voices of the people who've lived it, so settle in, because today you'll hear another account that just might change the way you see the woods forever. So stay with us. The first interview you hear today was recorded at the Van Meter Visitor Festival in 2025. If it sounds like I'm yelling, it's because I am. I did use a program to try to take the voices out of the background. That's why it sounds so weird. Not in audio quality, but just like, why are we yelling? And you'll get it. But it's a really cool account in an area that is close to me. So we'll see where this turns out, but I'm glad this interview happened.
All right, guys, we are at the Van Meter Visitor Festival 2025. I got Brian with me today, and he has come over to share some things he's experienced. But how's it going, Brian?
It's going very well. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So you are actually local from the area, is that right?
100% local.
Talked for a few minutes before. You've had some things happen in the area regarding Bigfoot activity. Is that right?
100%. Yes. It started in 1996. A girlfriend of mine and her friend were driving home from Menlo, Iowa, and they said that something was tracing their car, running just as fast as they were at 45, 50 miles an hour underneath that Menlo Bridge. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Menlo. They probably chased him for about 5 to 6 minutes. They got back to the house. They were terrified, crying. I didn't believe in Bigfoot at all at the time. I had no idea what Bigfoot even was, didn't care. They both came in saying that this thing was tailing them, and they were tore up when they got home, and they were both just in tears and crying, and I'm sitting here laughing at them, thinking that they were both, I don't know, maybe seeing things or whatever. Anyway, fast forward a while, 2014, I was on the Raccoon River, which is about, 14 miles maybe from Menlo, Iowa. And a friend and I, actually a couple friends and I were kayaking, but there was a huge rock that hit my friend's boat that had literally been thrown from a cliff above. And my friend said, "Hey, why are you messing with me like that?" And I go, "I didn't do anything." And then all of a sudden, another rock hit the front of my kayak. And we looked up, and there was all I can say is a bipedal creature that was almost as tall as this oak tree, which is probably 8 feet, and it was swaying back and forth and hiding behind the tree. And I looked at him and he looked at me, and the group that was behind us was like, "Why'd you guys stop?" Because we were like almost getting through some rapids there. And we said, "There's something going on up on that cliff." A few other people stopped and they also witnessed this. And they're people from Redfield. I can give their names if they'll allow me to later. But I think there was probably 14 people that witnessed this account.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
It was the most terrifying thing. All we could do is paddle. I thought it was going to run down that. It was probably a 40-foot cliff. I thought it was going to run down that cliff and get us. We all got back to the next sandbar and stopped for a second and talked about what we had seen. And everybody agreed. It looked like a gorilla that was standing upright and had just literally, it didn't throw anything at the rest of the boats, which was strange. But we all sat there and watched this thing sway back and forth for probably 4 to 5 minutes, I would guess. I have not been back to that stretch of the river since. It really terrified all of us to the point where I don't know if any of those people even kayak on that stretch of the river anymore.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. My goodness. It's incredible. You said 14 people in total witnesses.
Yep.
That's wild. What was the year on that again?
2015, 2016, somewhere in there. So it's been almost 10 years ago. I do drive up and down those gravel roads now, just looking for anything that has happened around there. There's a gun range that is over there, which I've pulled in there and drove down the 4-wheel drive trails looking for footprints. Haven't seen anything. We haven't talked about it since, which I think is strange as well. It was just that first day that we were like, wow, what was that? And everybody said, I think a gorilla got out of the zoo.
Oh, wow.
But it didn't have a conical head, though. It was... It looked like a human, just large and hairy. No hair on the face, a little bit of scruff on the chin and the cheeks, but nothing that said that this wasn't a human besides the size.
So you're saying it's on the Raccoon River. Would you be able to point on the map?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Can you find Panora for me? You probably have to go up a little farther.
Okay.
So between Panora and Linden, it would have been about 4 miles south of Panora, probably, is my guess. It would have been in this area right here.
Really?
Can you see any names there?
So Lennon Mills, WMA, how has that affected you since then?
Like I said, I almost quit kayaking that stretch of river. I usually start south of Linden now and go, even though it doesn't matter. My daughter and her family have property on the Raccoon River right by Redfield, which is, 10 miles south of Lennon Mills. And they said they've had stuff beaten on their house.
Really?
Yeah, they just built a new house not too long ago. They've had a few issues with, like I said, weird noises in the night, their dogs going crazy in the middle of the night for no reason. And also, my daughter's mom will not go to Hanging Rock anymore. Are you familiar with Hanging Rock out of Redfield?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the WMA right in Redfield. Yep.
That is a fantastic spot to go because there's a nature reserve there. We used to ride 4-wheelers around there and do stuff. And I had a friend that was like, I won't go there. My daughter's mom won't go there anymore. Something has scared both of them out of there to where they don't want to talk about it either.
Do you know anything about what happened to them specifically at Hanging Rock?
I don't. My friend that I was talking about, he has a huge piece of property right there that overlooks Hanging Rock. And he was always a hunter, but he won't go back out into the woods anymore to hunt there. He goes to southern Iowa to hunt now.
My goodness, I had no idea. So you're saying this is like current day stuff that's going on?
Yeah, this has all been within the last year and a half, 2 years.
I had no idea that we were having such activity happening. And you could say what we've got Madison County here, Dallas County, Guthrie, and that's just mind blowing to me. But you hear reports up and down the Raccoon River for the last 20, 30 years.
I've heard reports in Adel, which is a few miles south of there. I've got 2 or 3 people from Adel that have said they've seen or heard something that was very suspicious.
That's incredible. So it's really all in this area. Yeah, the Raccoon River. That's crazy. So thinking back to what you saw that day, there's a lot of people have a lot of different viewpoints of what Bigfoot looked like to them. Would you be able to describe what you saw that day?
It absolutely looked like a human, but about 8 feet tall, and it just swayed back and forth. It was extremely hairy, except for its face. Its face was glistening in the sun, I think is the only reason you really could see it. It was, I don't want to say gray in color, but it wasn't exactly what I would call, a typical Iowan. But yeah, it was definitely a strange color, and it just swayed back and forth through the trees, or between the trees, and you could just see it peeking out at us every once in a while until I don't know. We all just decided to get out of there. It was really something wild. And like I said, we start our kayak trips now south of there. Not that whatever this creature was couldn't go 5 miles south.
Would you ever want to see what you saw that day again? Have another experience or?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I like it at a distance.
Sure.
Like I said, we were all afraid that it was going to come barreling down that rock face. We were terrified it was going to come barreling down that rock face. You can only go so fast in a kayak. But we even hesitated to stop on that next sandbar and talk about it because we were like,
Sure.
We just wanted to get out of there. And our trucks were still 10 miles away down at the dam in Redfield, Iowa. It's one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had in my whole life. And like I said, I always thought when my ex told me about this that she was full of baloney until I saw it with my own eyes. And I wouldn't doubt it was the same creature because this happened 14 miles from where she saw hers in 1996.
Oh, wow.
But her and her girlfriend that night, like I said, came home just bawling. They didn't know what they saw or what was chasing them, but it kept up with her little Datsun 280ZX.
Nice. It's just incredible how many are happening in this area, to be honest.
We've talked about, I guess I've heard on your show, Eastern Iowa.
Like a Backbone State Park?
Backbone State Park. Yeah. My grandma lives over by there, and I've always heard reports from there, and I just blew them off. I've been out there a million times. Never had an experience, but I can't believe all the stuff that comes out of there.
There's some wild stuff. I did remember what I was going to ask you. After the time when you had this experience, were your dreams affected or did anything out of the ordinary start to happen?
No, actually, yes. My friend and neighbor, he's got a little detached garage from his house, and I watched two little blue orb lights shimmy around each other, which is also right on the Raccoon River in Redfield. But it's almost like they were dancing, if that makes sense. They were, and they would follow each other in the back around the garage, and they would come back around. They were doing almost like a symphony dance, and it was the strangest thing I'd ever seen. And I just thought, it's 3:00 in the morning. I get up for work at 3:30. So I got up a little bit earlier that day, but I was standing outside, and I was just like, what is going on in Jeff's driveway? But it literally was two balls of light. They were probably the size of ping pong balls.
Oh, wow, really?
Small. And they were just dancing around back and forth, and they would follow each other around the garage until I had to get into my truck and go to work. I was just lost. And this was maybe 2 weeks after our sighting on the river, which only happened 3 miles away from where we had our supposed Bigfoot encounter.
Right. My goodness.
His backyard is a huge ravine that goes down. He's got a beautiful piece of property, but his backyard backs right up to the Raccoon River. My father-in-law's lived on the Raccoon River. I tell him these stories. He thinks I'm nuts. He's lived there his whole life, 70 years.
Brian, thank you for stopping by and for sharing what you've experienced over the years. I'd say we definitely need to stay in touch, and feel free to pass my info on to any of these other people that you know that have had experiences as well. I'd love to talk to them.
I could probably have Ashley get a hold of you. She's the one that was in the 280ZX that night. I'm sure she'd love to talk to you about it, because I couldn't believe when she came home, her and her friend came home, they were in tears. That there was something that happened to them that night, and I couldn't explain it at the time, but when they said it was Bigfoot, I said, y'all are nuts.
Until you have something happen yourself. Yeah.
That's the honest to God truth.
Man, I'm glad that you stopped over. Thank you, Brian.
Oh, you're welcome, Jeremiah. I'm glad I got in touch with you.
Hey, Amanda, how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great. Are you coming up to share an experience that you've had?
I am. So I lived in Loganville, Georgia. And across from Loganville, it was like a dark street. If you come down like Highway 20, anybody that lives in near Loganville, they know about Pleasant Hill Road, not Pleasant Hill, but the Pleasant Hill Road Drive. It's a dark street to get to Conyers. And so one night I had just came home from, I had my 20th, I'm 42 now. It was like my 25th birthday party. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's a dark road. And I'm driving down the road. And as I'm driving down, now mind you, I'm in a Chevy Malibu, a 2004 Chevy Malibu, very small car. So as I'm driving down this dark road, it's really dark. It's nothing but houses that have a lot of land and are separated like far apart. They have a lot of land, like acres between each house. On the other side of the road is nothing but woods. And I'm driving down this road and I'm pulling up and I'm seeing like, okay, this must be like a dog in the road. The farther I get from it, the farther I'm away from it, I'm like, okay, this must be a dog in the road. I get closer. Oh, it must be a wolf. Oh, it must be a bear. Oh, it must be this. I'm in a Chevy Malibu. And when I got up to it, it was something dead in the road. And when I pulled up close enough, it had to be at least 9 feet, 10 feet tall. I had to go look under my windshield, the front windshield, to see its face. What I saw in the front was nothing but almost like flesh with hair. What I saw is the craziest thing because I watched this. I had to pull back. Like I had to put my car in reverse. This is a quiet street. I drive this street all the time, like during the day. I really rarely drove it at night. So this night in particular, I'm telling you, I was way far back from it. But the closer I got, the bigger it got. And then I'm like, what is this? It's feeding on something in the road. And then I'm going closer to it, and then it's getting bigger. So then when I get up to it, I'm like, okay, hold on. This is something crazy. This is so long ago, I had a flip phone and no pictures, no nothing. I was just so shocked by what I saw. And I tell some of my coworkers, like I tell this story really sparingly because I don't want
Uh-huh.
anybody to think I'm crazy, but I know what I saw. You can't take from me what I saw. I never saw nothing like it ever in my life. And when I got close to it, like my dad would say, when you get close to a deer in the road, it gets hesitant by the lights. So cut the lights off. So what I did is I cut the lights off and I went back. But I couldn't believe what I saw. I cut the lights back on. And when I did that, it got off of fourth, like it was in the road feeding on what it was. Whatever it was feeding on, I don't know. And then when it stood up, I had to look and I had to go like up under, like I'm talking about when you're in the car and where your feet at, I had to go that deep, like that far down to see it at its height. And then when I did that, it just growled at me. And just like the previous person that was speaking, it was something that you couldn't explain. Like I was so scared. All I could do was put my car in reverse. That's all I could do at that time. It was the craziest thing ever in my life that I saw. And you know how they have the Bigfoot series, and then they say Finding Bigfoot, that show. And it was a woman in Georgia, and she wasn't too far from where I live. And what she described, because sometimes they would draw it out. So what she described on it is exactly what I saw that night. Like exactly to the T. I mean, to the T. So I'm a very Bigfoot advocate. Like I am all for it. I believe it. You can't tell me what I saw. You could tell me maybe I saw a wolf man, but no. I know what I saw that night. It was the most incredible thing ever. It was crazy. It was like from all I saw was flesh. Like in the front of it was flesh. You like skin. You know what I'm saying? And then it had hair around it and everything else, but the face and like everything else is not what we see when we look at a traditional Bigfoot, which is makes me feel like, did I see a Bigfoot or did I see something else? But I know what I saw that night, which is crazy to me. To see that lady on Finding Bigfoot and to see that drawing, that when she described it, it was the exact same thing that I saw that night. And it confirmed it for me that it was real. Like I knew it was real. I knew I had to put my car in reverse. I knew where I was going that night. And I couldn't stop talking about it. But everybody was like, oh, girl, you crazy. And you didn't see, it must have been something. No, I know what I saw, because for me to just be driving up on that dark road, and for what I'm seeing, it's a long road. And I see it from miles away. And I'm thinking it's just a dog in the road. And then it just kept getting bigger. It just kept getting bigger. As the closer I got, it just kept getting bigger. And when I got close up to it and it actually stood up, whatever was in the road was dead. And I don't know if it thought, I don't know what it thought, but it's one of the experiences in my life that I will never forget. Like, I know what I saw, and I don't feel like anybody could take that from me. And the one thing that I stand by that confirmed it for me was just exactly watching that episode of that show, and that woman in Georgia, not too far from me, and the way they drew it up and how they described it was the exact same thing that I saw. I'm really a big believer. Nobody could take that from me. I'm sorry. I know what I saw, and it's crazy. Like, they out there. I don't know, like, how they hiding, what they doing. If you look at videos, you can see how they like go into how they I don't know how to say the words, but how they mix with the environment or whatever it is, or why they not being found or whatever. But I don't know what I saw that night. But the only thing that makes sense to me is that is what it was. I've never seen nothing that big in my life. And it wasn't big. So when I see like the videos of Bigfoot and they all hefty and big, and I didn't see that. I saw something that was like 9 or 10 feet tall. Like, I really had to get down to the foot part of the car and look up to see it when I got close. And it was really skinny, not skinny, but it wasn't as big as we look at Bigfoot. It was really
Sure.
different. It was really different, and it was just really weird. And I was just so in awe. I never told that story until years later. Never till years later did I tell that story. I actually feel good like getting this out, because I just think a lot of people think I'm weird, but you can't take from me what I saw. I don't know what it was. It could have been Bigfoot. It's not the traditional Bigfoot that I saw. It was something as big as Bigfoot, as masculine as Bigfoot, but not as hairy. The hair was all on the back. What I seen in the front was definitely like skin or flesh or whatever you want to call it. But I think that's what I saw. And I know that's what I saw. And that'll be a story that, like, I tell my kids and everything. Like, they think I'm crazy, but I know what I saw, and I really believe that it's
Wow.
something that everybody can't. I don't know who or why, but you just get caught in these predicaments where you just get in these situations. I don't know. Yeah, I don't take nothing from anybody who says they seen what they seen. Like, I don't. I think it's different types. It's different whatever. They all don't look the same. But what confirmed it for me, really, like, God honest truth, was that episode of Finding Bigfoot, and that lady in Georgia, not too far from me, and she said she seen the same thing, and she described it the same way, and that confirmed it for me that I saw what I saw, and she saw it in
Well,
broad daylight. Yeah,
Amanda,
she
I'm
saw it in
glad you
broad
were
daylight.
able to come up and share what you experienced. Thank you for doing this. So, uh,
No
it's
problem.
just a story I can share on the podcast that I have.
Sure.
All right, very cool. Thanks so much, and feel free to stick around. But good talking to you tonight. Hey, Kyle, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going tonight?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for coming up. Do you have a Bigfoot story to share?
Yeah, you can hear me all right?
Oh yeah, you sound great.
I'm from Canada, in Alberta. This is back when I was probably around 18, 19, around 89, 90.
Okay.
I was, I was, I worked at a little ski hill just outside a town called Pincher Creek. The ski hill's called Castle Mountain. It used to be called West Castle. Back when I worked there, it was just a little T-bar hill. Oh, I shouldn't say little. 38
100 vertical feet of ski hill. So this was, back in probably about 90, 89. I was working late. It was getting around dusk and just finished up closing up the chairlift or this T-bar. And I was going to drive back home. I had an old beater car, an old 63 Impala. They were like a tank. Go through the snow, no problem. But the mountain was it's on a powder belt, so we get a lot of snow, probably 3 to 4 feet of snow in the ditches and whatnot. And I was heading home and got past a little park. There's a little park there called Beaver Mines Park. And this thing, it was massive. It cleared the road in front of me in 3 steps, no problem. His knee was over top of the hood of my car. So my car would have been, the hood of the car would have been close to 3.5 feet off the ground. And his knee was higher than that. So he had to be, I would say, 10 to 11 feet tall. Cleared the road in 3 steps. And I stopped and I looked back and there was nothing. It was gone. And I thought, that's crazy. That couldn't have been those ditches are so deep, there's no way you could run through that. And it was gone. And I was kind of shaking at that point. And it was getting dark out. I wasn't about to stick around. Yeah. I just headed back into town after that.
My goodness, 11 to 12 feet tall. That is wild. And this is southwest Alberta, it looks like. Were you able to see any other details like hair color or how long did the whole sighting take?
Dark brown, almost black color. And I've seen bears and there's no way that was a bear. There's no way a bear could stride across the road like that.
Were you able to see anything of its face at all, or was it just like the lower part of it?
Just the lower portion of him. I was so close, like probably 2 feet from hitting him, but he was moving so fast. All I seen was legs, big legs going in front of me. Yeah, it was wild.
It's extremely wild. Is this an area that's known for, heard other sightings, other reports as well, or?
Yeah, we're on the other side of the Rockies from BC, so there's a lot of reports in BC. I've heard howls too. Traveling actually out to BC going through the Fernie area. I did a little drive out to BC and I stopped in Fernie just off the road to take a little breather, have a smoke, and I heard the wildest scream I've ever heard in my life. That there's nothing, no human or animal could make that noise. It was crazy, crazy noise. That's my experiences anyways. I believe in them.
I appreciate you coming up. We don't hear a lot from Alberta, so it's a special thing to hear that as well. Do you mind if I use this audio from the conversation in the Bigfoot podcast that I have?
Oh, yeah, sure. No problem.
Awesome. Hey, Kyle, I hope you stick around if you can, but thanks for coming up, man.
For sure.
Hey, Josh, how are you?
Good, you?
Doing good. Are you coming up to share a Bigfoot story tonight?
Yes, so I am.
All right. Feel free to go right ahead.
It happened about 3 years ago up here in northeast Texas, north of Tyler, Texas. The first night The one night I was outside, kind of walking around. I was just tapping like on the patio porch. And then about maybe 50 yards away, and then I heard 3 tree knocks replying back. And then the next night, I came back out off the back porch, and I heard like a big grunt, and then all the brush behind the house was starting to move, and it sounded like it was running away from the house. And then about a year later, I was in the living room just watching TV, and when I looked outside, I could see a shadow looking into the window. And the window's about maybe 8 feet off the ground. And the middle of his head was pretty much in the middle of the window. That's about the only time I got the experience one.
Wow, Josh. What was the town you said in Texas again?
It was about this time, about 3 years ago.
Yeah, and what was the town name?
It's north of Tyler, Texas.
Did you say Talbot?
Tyler.
How do you spell that?
Tyler.
Oh, Tyler?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the... Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, is that in Van Sant County? Yeah. I've heard a lot about that county before. Yep. That's wild, dude. When you had the one looking in the house window, did you find any tracks outside the window the next day? Is that anything you were able to look at?
Actually, after I seen it, I went out right then and there after it took off. And I didn't see no prints or anything because it was pretty much real dry. It's hard to find any prints at the time.
Was there any weird smell outside when you went out there?
It was kind of like maybe like a rotten egg smell, like mixed with a skunk.
Okay. Have you ever heard of any other people having experiences in the same area?
I heard one about over the summer, but they didn't really want to they don't want to share the story. I was even trying to get hold of them and listen to theirs.
Gotcha. It looks like in the chat some other people have heard things in the Tyler area as well, and I'm looking on my map that I have, and Northeast Texas definitely has a lot of stuff reported. But Josh, I appreciate you coming up and sharing. Can I share a conversation on the Bigfoot podcast that I have?
Yes, sir, you can.
All right. Very good. Thank you for hanging out in the chat today, and thanks for sharing your story, Josh.
You're welcome. I even shared it, the story I told you, I shared it with another guy that's from Arkansas.
Okay.
And his is unknown, Ministries Unknown.
Oh, yeah, Josh.
Yes, I even got on his podcast and told my story with him.
Josh is a good friend. We talk every once in a while. Yep. He's a good dude.
Alrighty, y'all have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome.
Hello?
I do have some stories, though. Do I tell them on here?
Yes, absolutely. Feel free to share any, if you have any Bigfoot stories, go right ahead.
I do. Okay, where I lived in Pennsylvania, it's actually a populated area, but really close to the mountains. We lived right in front of the mountains. And when we first moved there, we heard sounds at night that were it would just make the hair rise on your neck, and we would go in every time. It was just something that was horrifying. And we always lived in the country, and we were pretty used to different sounds, but these were just horrifying. And so then I started walking from 4:30 in the morning until somewhere around 7:15, and it was 7.5 mile walk. And so there was a church down our way, and there was exactly a mile walk around it. And I started walking there. And this one day I was walking around it, and I seen this and it was like June or July. It was really hot. And it was early in the morning, and on this hill in the middle of this kind of cleared area, but it was just ivy from one end to the other. I seen this little thing in a monkey suit is all I could say. And as soon as he seen me, he stopped, but his hands were on the edge of his bed, and he just didn't move a muscle after that. So somebody in the hut there was telling him not to move a muscle. And then the next day, or a day or two later, maybe it was, I seen a big one, and she was there just making sure all the ivy was exactly, her back was to me, and she was making sure that all this ivy was just exactly in place on her hut. And she turned around and seen me, and boy, did she hightail it to the back of her hut, and she just was looking around at me. And I kept walking because I'm by myself out there in the middle of nowhere in the early morning, and so I didn't want any trouble. And so I just kept moving, and she just kept staring at me out the corner from the back of her hut. And then the next experience that I had was there was a deer. It was like the next day or a day or two later, whatever, a couple days, whatever. And there was a deer laying right in the front of their house, right where the little one was sitting. I thought, there's no freaking deer that is going to sit there where this thing was. It's just not natural. And it turns out that the closer I got, I could see some big hollow eyes. And I guess it had to be the little one. He had a deer skin over him to hide him. And if you didn't know what was going on, you would have thought it was just a deer sitting there, laying there in a bed. But actually, it had to be the little one. But if you looked really close, these big hollow black eyes. So it was the skin of a deer. And many times leaving my house and walking up the hill to the church, don't forget, it was 4:30 in the morning. I started out the same time every day. I got this overpowering smell of trash and rotten eggs. It was absolutely nauseating. And I knew that they had to be right to either the right or the left of me, but my senses were, they were just right in the weeds, right to the left of me. It was really strong. And then one day I told my husband about it, and he said, the other day when I was up on the one hill, this was in the church area, he was up on the hill looking down into the woods, watching me walk around, and he said he's seen, it was shoulders high over all the brush that was in the woods, walking, and he thought it was strange. It was furry and stuff, but he didn't really even give it a second thought until he heard my story and what I had been watching, and then he knew. And also, as far as color goes, the little one was the lightest. The female was the second. She was a little bit darker. And then the male, no, wait a minute. Do I have that backwards? No. Yes, no. The little one was the darkest. The female was the middle. And the male was almost like a light brown, not real light brown, but reddish brown. He was the lightest one. So they each had their own color. And it was really just a summer to remember. And but like I said, it started out with the strangest sounds when we moved to our house. It was just, we had never heard before. And you would just go in because you didn't even want to be outside with whatever was making that noise. Oh, and another one. My grandson went down at the church. When he would go to church, he brought a bunch of kids home every Sunday, and they would play airsoft. And this one day, And the one boy, he came, oh, and we said, what's wrong? What's wrong? And he said, I just seen a bear with both hands on the side of the tree looking around at me. Now, a bear is not going to do that, but a Bigfoot will. And
Absolutely.
And so we're not the only ones. And what stopped me from seeing the Bigfoot family was one day I was walking around and there was two women standing right in their porch. And I knew I wasn't the only one to see them, but I knew I would never see them again. And I never did. And I'm so disappointed that people have to invade the minute they do something like that, because I knew as soon as I seen them that I would seen them two women, that I would never see them again. And I never did. I never smelled them, never got an inkling they were around. They were gone. And also my husband does a lot of hunting in the mountains right in back of us. And you hear about the knocks and stuff when he's back there hunting. In fact, he doesn't go back there. I don't think he hunts back there at all anymore because of it. But he'd hear knocks all over the mountain. He could hear them knocking all over the mountain. But what scared him was one day, and he was bow hunting. That's pretty much all he hunts. And it was dark. And there was one really close to the base of his tree knocking. He said he got out of that tree so fast, went home, and I don't think he ever went back on the mountain again. But yeah, and you could hear him knocking. He could hear him knocking all over when he was hunting all night long, all morning long till it got light. And I think that's all I can think of right now.
What year was that?
This was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I think 4 now, maybe. Yeah, 4. My boyfriend's saying 4. Yep. And I live in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Used to live in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Right now I'm in Florida, but back when I lived in Pennsylvania, that's where I lived. And it was a pretty populated area. And I knew it was just as stupid as they were acting. And like out there in broad daylight, it was certainly early morning, but it was daylight. And she's there fixing the ivy around her hut and stuff. And with her back to me, I thought, it's just a matter of time till she gets seen. And another time, I was walking towards them, and there was this. If you wouldn't have known what it was, you would have sworn it was a log laid straight out in their little hut area. And they must have had a cleared off area in the front of it where they could walk around or lay or whatever. And it was hot. It was hotter than you can imagine. And he was just laid out right full length. But looking at him, you would have thought he was a log. But I knew exactly what it was.
And so you said this happened around Mechanicsburg?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Was it in any of the state forest around there, or?
Pardon?
So just in a random forested area around Mechanicsburg?
Yeah, it was just, the church is out in the country, and still a lot of population, though, a lot of developments, they must have just gone around at night. When the kids seen the female, I would think it was her during the day.
You mentioned seeing a hut a few times. Can you describe a little bit more about what you mean by it had a hut?
What they look like?
Or no, you said like they have an actual hut.
Oh, yeah, it was just a hut. It was just, as far as I could make out, it was just ivy. You couldn't even see an entrance to it, really. And I didn't see them ever go in and out of it. I don't know. It had to be an opening right there. But yeah, she was just picking at the ivy and making sure every little leaf was exactly right. And boy, when she turned around, but that's all you could see was just this ivy hut. And then it had to have like some kind of porch on the front of it where they could lay or whatever, cleaned off a little bit. I never went up to it. I didn't want to be invasive. I didn't want to scare them. And many times, and of course, starting out at 4:30 in the morning, there was times when there was no moon and it was so dark, I literally had to navigate where I was at on the trail by looking up in the sky to get the slightest bit of light because I'm in the woods. When you're going back down around into the woods where they were, I had to navigate like that, but I was scared. It must have been them or something, but they were right at just shuffling away from me real fast. I guess it was them, although at that time I never really smelled anything, so I don't know if it was them or not, or maybe I scared a deer or a bear, who knows. Seen it all on my walks, but yep.
Thank you for sharing. In that area, I talked to someone where they had something happen north of Harrisburg, which is in the same area.
Yes.
Not a lot of activity reported. So thank you for sharing that. Is this something where I could put our conversation up on?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but I don't care what you do with it. I just thought I had to say something when I just came across your site. It was like, oh my gosh, I can actually tell somebody. And yeah, I don't care what you do with it.
All right, thank you so much. Feel free to come back up in the future if you have anything else you want to share too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you much. Bye-bye.
Hey, Amanda, what's up?
Oh, you're back at me. Okay, cool. Wow. I just wanted to say something. I'm listening to all these stories and everything, but I just didn't want to keep the time up. I was like, after I saw my story, I was communicating with somebody and they were talking about it being like a Wendigo or just something, because I've actually came in contact a second time in Lawrenceville, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was like a pond. It was like, the pond was like 5 feet wide. It was like a brush of water, whatever it would go. And it would go into a forest. And the forest was like between two communities. And so I came home one day and my husband had put like a dial locks on the door. And so when I'm walking up the driveway, like I parked my car and I'm walking up the steps to the driveway and I get to the door and I'm like, I feel like something's watching me or just something. So when I look over, this is when I see the Bigfoot that everybody expects. Like, again, so then I see it running. So that I go in the house and we have a 3-story house. So I go to the house and I go to the back porch and I walk out the back door. And then it had already beat me over the fence. And then it's like it stopped. And it's like it heard me walk out my back door to go to see it. Or I don't know. It's just like I walked out my back door, my back porch door, 3 levels up, and I'm going out and I see it. So I'm listening to all of these experiences and they're all different and everything else. And it just made me feel like everything that everybody experiences is different and it's not all the same. And it might sound crazy or whatever else, but I'm telling you, both times I know what I saw because there's a tree in my backyard of my house. And the level of the eyes, maybe it could have been a raccoon. Maybe it could have been the glow of the eyes on an animal at night when you throwing a flashlight at it. Yeah. So maybe it could have been anything. But the height of what I saw jump over the ravine, like it was just like a small little thing. And I didn't want to tell y'all that the first time I was on because I thought y'all would think I'm just being extra. But I promise you, I seen this twice. I stand by what I say. I don't ever get to tell my story. So the fact that I found this platform, the only way I found this platform was because I'm already looking up Bigfoot encounters.
Exactly.
I'm saying, like, real, yeah. I only came across this because I'm already looking something up that I already dealt with. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to throw that out there. I'm not trying to keep nobody's time, but I seen it twice. And I don't consider myself lucky. I just think the first time it was different. The second time it was actually the Bigfoot y'all look at, hairy or whatever. I watched that. It's like a 5-foot ravine. It's like a 5-foot, like, little river. And he stepped over it. And my husband set up on a door, like the little code to get in the house. When you go to the door, you put the code in, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, I feel like, so I look to the left of me and then I just see this big ass thing just take 1 foot over the whole ravine. And then just power back to the forest in the back of my house, like to the woods in the back of my house. And so I'm in the house, and when I get in the house, I'm running, and I run to the back of the house, and I get out the porch, and then all I could see was like eyes, like you see animal eyes, like they light up at night, like however it look at night, and they probably like so far up. I'm like, okay, I didn't see what I saw. That might not be because I really don't think I saw what I saw, but I know I saw something take a foot just over the ravine. But I didn't want to share that story the first time because I didn't want y'all to think I was capping. But I think I actually ran into Bigfoot twice and maybe two different kinds. And I just wanted to share that because maybe it is different. Maybe they are different. I don't know. That's just, never mind. I ain't gonna go that far into it. But anyway, there may be different kinds or something else. But and then why are the people that are gifted, not gifted, but just able to see or have these experiences? I don't think I'm special. I just think I would have rather not seen it to see what I saw, especially the first time. I would have lived a good life without seeing that. It doesn't bother me, but it's just an experience that I feel like I have to keep secreted, which is why I feel so grateful to come across this platform. Because honestly, the only way I came across it, if I was already looking at Bigfoot footage and everything else. And like, for people to know how real this is, like we real, like we really know what we seen, what we felt, how it looked, and everything else. And that's just it. And I'm a Black female. Anyway, I'm just appreciative of this. I came across it because I just be Googling, like, or just be looking at TikToks like Bigfoot because I know what I've seen. But all the Bigfoot footage that I've seen, I've never came across the one that I've seen the first time. I always see the second one, but not the first one. I have not come across that yet. That's all I wanted to share. That's it.
So let's see. A lot of other people think there are multiple types of Bigfoot as well. If you just
Yes.
Google like Bigfoot types, you should be able to find an image that's out there quite a bit of people say there's 4 types of different Bigfoot. I would
Yeah.
recommend looking that up, and that might be helpful to try to figure out.
So the first one, so the first one that I mentioned when you hooked me up the first time to let me join, the first one was the only one I seen that looked like it was on Bigfoot Encounters or the show I was talking about. And then the
Right.
second one I see everywhere. The second one I seen everywhere. Like I saw that take a step, just a step over a 5-foot ravine, like a 5-foot, just like waterfront. You know what I'm saying? To go to the woods. Like he just took one step. And then I tried to race him to the house and he beat me over my fence. And it was the craziest thing I've ever saw. And then my husband thought I was crazy because he heard that was the only person I felt comfortable to tell the first story to and everything else. And then he thought I was crazy the second time. But I'm telling you, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what I saw. It could have been anything. But I'm just like, this is the closest to what I saw. I don't know what I saw.
Another thing you can do is if you go to my podcast website, which is BigfootSocietyPodcast.com, there's a sightings map, and then you can look at all the ones in Georgia, and you can read about them. These are all people I've talked to, and then you can find out what episode of the podcast you would listen to find out more about sightings in certain areas.
More about sightings out here, yeah. This is the first time, like, I actually, it like tried to. This is the first time I'm admitting this that what I see. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I tell my coworkers, they think I'm joking, and I tell people, and I be like, man, Bigfoot exists. Like they be going on cruises, and I be like, man, mermaids. Like at this point, I see Bigfoot, so mermaids exist. I don't care. Everybody else exists. You know what I'm saying? I see Bigfoot. You can't tell me that everybody else don't exist. I'm sorry, but that's just what I be on. Come on, I seen Bigfoot in front of my face. It's crazy. But anyway, I appreciate this. I appreciate the opportunity to share my story because it actually relieved me from a lot. Like I'm on a platform right now, just telling my story for people that don't think I'm too crazy. So thank you. Yeah, I appreciate what you're doing.
I'm here. Yep. Yeah, I appreciate you coming
what
up
you're
again.
doing.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Have a good one.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So people like Amanda can share what they experience, because no one else is going to let them talk.
Howdy.
Hey, Cash. How's it going, sir?
Going pretty good. How are you doing? What's your name, by the way?
Jeremiah. Are you coming up to share a Bigfoot experience you've had, sir?
Yeah, I thought about it, yeah. Oh, there goes my battery. I'd say it'd be all right, though. Yeah, I thought about it, yeah. I got 2 of them.
Feel free.
I've got more than that, but I've got one that I was 10 yards from him, me and my wife's uncle. And we had bought some land down at Rockbridge, Missouri, it's on the Bryant Creek, Spring Creek and Bryant Creek. It's where they meet. And I think you had a listener or tell an experience over by a place called the Monastery, which is about 7-8 miles up the creek from there. Okay.
Assumption Abbey. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real nice place too. But it's all woods down there for miles and miles. And my place was in the middle of probably 10,000 acres. And so we're exploring it after I just bought this place. Me and my wife's uncle, and he's real straight-laced from Texas. And so we're going out on this ridge, and there's an old driveway that goes down to an old house place right on Bryant Creek. And I've been down there before, and I wanted to show it to him. So I headed down there, but there was 2 trees pushed over, or had fell over in the driveway, which I now believe probably pushed over. But so we got out, and I grabbed my rifle, and we walked on down. And it wasn't like I didn't spot it right off, and neither did he. It was crouched down is what it was doing. And I don't believe he was a full-grown one because he wasn't big enough. But he was probably 7 foot. But he just didn't look like what a full-grown one is. But we were almost to the bottom, and I guess he lost his nerve, really. I think he didn't think that he could camouflage or something because he just stood up real quick. To me, peripheral vision, it looked like a stump over there, a big stump. And I don't know what to him it was, but when he stood up, he looked at us, and it was strange because it looked like he had his mama or something. I don't know if his mama, maybe girlfriend, whatever, had put a bowl on his head and cut his hair and gave him a bowl cut. It was strange, but it was perfectly cut around there like that. And he was like a reddish brown. And his legs had a belt down below the knee, had a bowed back a little bit, but not bad. But he regularly took 2 steps to get away, and down on his knuckles he went, and then he knuckled his way all the way to Bryant Creek, crashing through the sawgrass and the canes and stuff, and hit the creek, and I heard 3 steps, and everything went quiet. And I looked at Uncle Ernie, and I said, what was that? It wasn't even scary. It was almost like it was natural. If he would have been coming at us, it would have been scary, probably. But he was going away, and he wasn't coming back, I didn't believe. I didn't even really think about it, but Uncle Ernie said, I don't know what that was. I said, well, I know what it was. It wasn't nothing. It couldn't have been nothing else. It couldn't have been a bear. Bears don't do that. It was this thing. It was like knuckled. It wasn't like a gorilla. It didn't look like a gorilla or nothing. It looked like a person, but it was part human. You could tell. But that was it. We went down to the house place, looked around, and with I didn't notice anything else. Of course, I wasn't as keen on it. I wasn't. My senses weren't honed in like they are now about it. But that was back, I want to say 2014, probably. Flash forward now, I've lived there 3 years. We're in 2017. My whole life fell apart, basically. My wife left, took the kids. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. This is about as far out. My house was about as far out as you get in Missouri. You can't even hear a highway from my house. But so I was out of money, and I used to poach a lot at night on foot. And I would usually walk up my driveway. It was about a mile long over to Bertha Road, County Road 345. I call it Bertha Road. I'd walk there and back and usually get a deer by then. And especially if it's a full moon. They're always out good. But anyhow, so there wasn't much of a moon this night. There wasn't any moon. It was dark as crap, and no wind hardly. So I made it down the hill from my house, and I don't even know why I wanted to sit down there, but it was a good little spot where the dozer had cut my driveway out, and it was just perfect to sit there. So I sat down, and I was there for probably 5 minutes, and I started smelling these deer guts. And the deer guts got a real distinctive smell. If you've killed any deer, you know what to smell like. And I smelled these deer guts, and I thought, that's funny. There ain't no wind out tonight. And the hair started to raise up on the back of my neck, and I licked my fingers, held it up, and it got cold behind me. That tells me that whatever it is that smells like deer guts is right behind me. It could be a deer. It could be some kind of predator. I don't know, but I stood up. And I pulled my pistol, my 45, and come up with it. And I was fidgeting for my flashlight in the other pocket. it hung up on the clip or something. I don't know. And as that 45 come up and around, it made out whatever this was big. And it let out the loudest scream, sounded like an elephant on Tarzan, the way they do, how they make that sound. But it was like 2 foot in front of me, whatever it was, but I couldn't see it. It was dark. And about the time I got my light out, and it started to run away, and it was 2 footed. It was on 2 feet. And if you've ever spooked up like a big old bull or something, when they run away from you, they wheel around and run away from you. This is what it sounded like, the amount of weight it had to it, thumping the ground as it went away. And it was like, about that time I got my light and I come back around, I wasn't going to shoot without identifying. I clicked the light on, there wasn't nothing there. It was the strangest thing. I don't know if it got far enough away, got behind a tree, but whatever it was, it sounded like it was 800,000 pounds. And yeah, that kind of freaked me out a little bit, but I went ahead on my hunt. But that night, I feel like I was dinner that night. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have snuck up on me like that because he was right behind me. Had to be. But that place, I had a lot of different experiences. Knocking on the side of the shop at night if I'm out there. I used to work on my diesel truck a lot at night, and maybe a friend would be over or something, and whatever it was would slap the building. And I got so used to it that I didn't even go out there and look no more because there wouldn't be nothing there. And my friends would be like, well, what was that? I said, I don't know what it is. You go look if you want to, but there won't be nothing there. I'm sure there was something there, but I just couldn't see it. They got away with camouflaging or something that's beyond me.
Wow, that's wild. Is that area really known for Bigfoot activity down there?
I don't know about that. Nobody talks about that kind of thing, really.
Okay.
A few of us, but man, it's out there. It's woods. There's a lot of virgin timber out there. It's woods. There's a lot of caves, a lot of overhangs, rivers. It's beautiful. It's God's country out there. And I've seen several different weird things. I've seen I had to be on like a chupacabra out there once. I seen that sucker I can't remember the date, but I seen it on one date, and exactly a year later in the very same spot, me and my boy was driving through there at night and seen another one about the same time. It had to be either that or just a mangy coyote. I don't know, but it was strange. But they're real, definitely. I promise you.
I noticed there's a state park between Rockbridge and Assumption Abbey. Does anything weird happen in there?
That's a new state park. It's all like that. That woods up through there is all like that. It's all like state park woods. And yeah, sure. That state park, when you run through it down the Bryant Creek, there's no floodplain. It's straight mountains on both sides. And that river, it shoots through there pretty fast. So you don't got much time to look around, but I know that area like the back of my hand. It's just, I can't put it any other way than that. Most people know there's something out there. There's something else there. And I just got lucky enough to see it 10 yards away. And like I said, I would have never seen that one if it hadn't been. I think he lost his nerve by the look on his face. He just didn't think he was going to pull it off, and I had that rifle. It scared him. That's what I got. That's my take on it. But
wow, it's incredible, and especially since it happened so close to the other story that gentleman had at that Assumption Abbey. I appreciate you coming up and sharing that.
Yes, sir. I've been meaning to do it for a while. I just haven't had time. Thank
Absolutely. You. Hey, is this a story I could share on my podcast as well?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you hanging out.
Yes, sir. Bye.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Met Bigfoot on the res, Arizona. Nice. Let's see if Roger wants to talk. Hey, Roger. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing great. So have you had some experiences out in Arizona on the reservation?
Oh yeah. It's a long story, but an alien ship landed in front of me about 4 years ago, and since then, somehow Bigfoot now is in the picture. He's visited me a few times. I'm also kind of delving into the concept of telepathy, trying to quantify it, because Bigfoot is obviously telepathic. He's a very intelligent being. I don't consider him some kind of ape-like creature. He's an extraterrestrial, basically.
Wow. And is that on the Navajo reservation?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I've done a few lives showing craft of where I believe there are underground civilizations. And so Bigfoot here lives partly in cave systems and partly in these like wood-like teepee structures that are seen all over the reservation.
Okay.
So here he's not a
Gotcha.
big deal. He's part of everyday life here on the reservation. It's not a big deal.
That's what I hear. I've talked to a few people from that reservation, and there's so many really interesting experiences that have happened. Have you had any that really stick out in your mind?
Well, yeah, I was in bed, and again, this was after my alien meeting or whatever. And I don't know if you remember the old Twilight Zone where you had William Shatner on a plane.
Yes.
And he opens the window, and there's like an ape face there looking at him because that creature was trying to destroy the plane. Do you remember that episode?
Oh yeah, that's a classic one. Yep.
Yeah. Well, so I'm in bed, and that face, similar to that Twilight episode, shows up in my dreams. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, it was really distinct. And a few minutes later, my lab sleeps with me in my bed, and she's kind of like my psychic warrior, and she runs out the back doggy door, doesn't bark, and I'm still thinking, okay, am I sleeping or not? So I walk out, I look out the back, and there's Bigfoot waving at me, and he's petting my dog with his other hand, and I'm like, okay, the dog's out there, so this can't be a dream. And I really felt his intention. I felt his love, and he wanted me to come out and interact. And I was, yeah, I guess you could say afraid. He's just so huge. He's like 12 feet tall. He weighs like 1,000 pounds. And then I work at a hospital here on the res, so I've been gathering stories for years. And this one particular family had an outing, and they hung out a sheep to dry, for the family. And several of those family members in different times that I saw them at the hospital said that Bigfoot came into the camp, looked at the sheep, tore it in half with his bare hands, like you would like a phone book, and left half for them and jogged off with the other half. Can you imagine the strength in your hands you need to share a sheep in half?
And just to make sure I heard you right, so you're talking about a sheep, like an animal sheep.
Correct. Yeah. Like
Wow.
that's big, here on the res, sheep farms and wool and all that. So it's mutton. It's a very classic Navajo meal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can go on and on, but what I found, I had some friends come up from LA, and we spent the weekend at a lake up here, which I can't say, which is a known Bigfoot community. And so what we did is I bought it's a personal EEG device you could put on your forehead, and it helps you get into alpha, basically.
Okay.
So we all did that, and within 10 minutes, we heard Bigfoot starting to basically, we believe, howling at us. Like, we had to get to a state of complete calmness and love in order for him to be more visible. You have to put yourself in that state, which is difficult if you're in a forest with no lights and it's kind of spooky, but that's what we did. And he immediately made his presence known. He actually walked down. We didn't see him physically because it was dark, but we could hear the crunching in the forest. And he actually walked down to our campsite. So he is approachable, but you have to be of a pure heart, is what I say to people. You have to be in innocence and have no other kind of ulterior motive, and he will show up. He's been around, according to Melba Ketchum. I don't know if you know who she is. She's a DNA researcher.
Yep.
He's been around since. And then not to name drop, but I know people who have were in the deep underground military installation stuff, like Dulce and stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
And they have done an autopsy of Bigfoot. And
Really?
yeah. And so the thing that I was told by them was that if Bigfoot is hurt physically, he cannot dematerialize. He cannot go through portals. So that's how they were able to actually, I guess, run up against him. Is he was injured here on the res, and special forces were brought in and anesthetized him. But you hear, like I said, I can go on and on. I am in contact with a number of ET civilizations here, along with Bigfoot. So that's my thing right now. That's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. I heard from an individual I interviewed that if there is, let's say there's a Bigfoot that's causing trouble on the reservation, there's police that will get involved, and then usually there's black SUVs that will show up from outside the reservation and get involved. Is that anything you've heard before?
Oh yeah. I've talked to what we call the Navajo Rangers. They were out there in the public, particularly two of them, and so they have reported seeing what we call operators, which is like, after you go through SEAL team or those training, then you're somehow put into these secret programs and are sent out to paranormal sites. Like I'm trying to think of the guy who did. He was the one responsible for the X-Files from the FBI files. Elizondo, was it Elizondo? No.
Oh, well, he's for UFO stuff, right?
Yeah, but there's another gentleman who was an actual FBI agent that the X-Files were based on. But
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so that kind of things are going on. I wouldn't call them like direct from FBI, CIA people. They're somehow lingering above those agencies. I don't know who controls it. I have my guess, but I've actually had an FBI van outside my apartment here. Once I had the alien encounter. About 2 weeks later, an FBI van showed up outside my apartment.
Oh,
and so I'm thinking, how in the heck did they? Because I'm in the middle of nowhere. Like, how in the heck did they know I encountered a craft and then show up so quickly? Well, Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, at one time mentioned that when a craft goes through a dimension, it lets off a neutrino signature, which is wow. I knew we detected neutrinos, but he said there's satellites that are specifically, that's what they do, is they look for neutrino blasts. And by that, then they could immediately have picked up where I was. And there's sensors now supposedly to pick up your DNA frequency. So the level of technology that we're being, what I consider mind controlled with, we have no idea.
Is there anything that you've learned from, listening and talking to people over the years that would really, shock us individuals that don't live on the reservation about Bigfoot?
Yeah, I was in touch with actually Melba Ketchum's assistant, and she turned out to be a remote viewer. And so she remote viewed my area along with other remote viewers in the session. And at one time she said that the Bigfoot out here had been hybridized by reptilians, and they were turned into monsters. So for a couple of years, I didn't go out to my regular areas because that scared the crap out of me. I mean, because you hear reptilians hybridizing humans, but you never could ever consider they would do something like that with Bigfoot. So oh my gosh, you can't imagine what that would be like. A Bigfoot and a reptilian. I mean, they would. I can't even. I don't even want to speculate. So that's probably, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's going on. The hybridization program is not only with humans but other species. That's more of what our reality is like right now. We're being pitted against each other. We're being controlled. We're being manipulated. And it's a much bigger agenda that I could speak to about what's really going on. So,
No, absolutely. Well, man, it has been, Roger, it's been great chatting with you today. Is this I have a Bigfoot podcast. Is this a conversation I could share on that podcast platform?
oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to encourage disclosure with my UFO channel. So any way that you could get this out, I'd be appreciative of it as well.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you hanging out, and we'll have to stay in touch. Thank you, Roger.
All right, take care.
Good stuff.
Before we wrap this episode, I want to say something directly to a very specific group of listeners. If you're in the military, any branch or forces, and if you've seen something that no one can explain, or if you're a national park ranger or forestry worker who's been told to stay quiet, or if you're a pilot who's seen something strange down on the ground, or if you're with the FBI, a federal agency, or working intelligence, and you stumbled upon something you're not allowed to talk about, and if you're a firefighter, paramedic, or search and rescue responder who's heard screams or found tracks that didn't make sense, if you're in the logging industry, on a remote oil field, or a trucker with government contracts, and you've had something happen that you've never told a soul, and if you're a biologist, a wildlife specialist, or a field researcher under contract who has found evidence you're not allowed to report, if you're a pastor, a missionary, or someone on a spiritual retreat, and you saw something that shook your faith, or if you work in the shadows, CIA, NSA, or anything with clearance, and you've seen what the public hasn't, then I want to talk to you. Even if it's anonymous, you can reach me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. The world needs to hear what you've been forced to carry alone, and you're not alone. You've got the story. We've got the mic. See you in the woods. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Bigfoot Society podcast. Every encounter we share reminds us that the world is bigger and stranger than we think, and that the truth is often hiding just beyond the tree line. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe to the channel on YouTube, hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode, and share this with a friend who's into mysteries, monsters, or the unexplained. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcast, please follow the show there and leave us a 5-star positive review, because all that helps more people discover the show. And remember, if you or someone you know has had a Bigfoot sighting, please, I'd love to hear from you. So email me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com and let's start the conversation. If you haven't gotten a chance yet, check out our membership community over at www.bigfootsocietypodcast.com. And that's where you can hear tomorrow's episode today, early and ad-free, and members-only episodes every week. Also, it's a place to connect with other people that are into the Bigfoot subject as much as you are. Thanks again for following along with the Bigfoot Society. Until next time, keep your eyes open, trust your gut, and never stop asking what else might be out there. And see you in the woods.